This segment is brought to you by Powerade. Pause for power with Powerade. Minute Maid. Real like you're at home. And Dasani. Connect mind and body.
Why are you frightening me, young man? I was ready. Welcome back to the SportsMax Zone. LeBron James and the Lakers suffered their 7th loss of the season, stumbling at home to Cleveland Cavaliers on Sunday. These are all these Sunday results. So confirming the Cavaliers beating the Lakers as Mariah brushes her hair. The Raptors beat the Bulls. The Grizzlies took down the Wizards. Jazz over the Clippers were the 4 games played on Sunday. Our NBA expert, Alistair Albert, zones in for this conversation. No need to beat around the bush, Alistair. LeBron and the Lakers not going so well. We thought after the first 4 or 5 games that, okay, well, it's just early. Give them some time to settle down. But it's not settling. And even though there's still a huge chunk of the regular season left to go, I think a reasonable person invested in the Lakers' prospects ought to start worrying about what kind of team they're planning to support for the rest of the campaign.
Yeah, it's true. I think it hasn't shaked out really well for them so far. Despite the marginal difference and improvements of Russell Westbrook's play coming off the bench and sparking, a lot of the energy and some of the wins the 2 wins that they had and everything. But yeah, this team is still just not hitting on all cylinders and literally not hitting shots. They're still quite putrid from 3-point range and also even just in 2-point range as well. So the team does need a little bit of a shake-up, and it's a bit sad to say that because, it seems like they're kind of getting a little bit of momentum. Russell Westbrook, I think, had bought into a little bit of the passionate pleas that Darvin Ham had put into him in terms of telling him, just trust me, coming off the bench will be good for you and everything, and it's done that, but it just hasn't sparked many wins. And what I attribute that to as well, excuse me, is that the team is just not very organized. It doesn't seem like they're very organized. They're leaders, 3 leaders on the team, ball-dominant guys, AD, LeBron, and Russ. And it just doesn't seem like the team knows who they should go to at critical moments. Guys are taking a lot of step-back 3-pointers. They're not using their size. So, if this trend continues, it's going to be much of the same for the Lakers this year.
Well, it's kind of a strange question, but I'll put it to you nonetheless. With this Lakers cast, with everybody else playing at the level that we've seen since the start of the season, and everybody's injury profile the same as we know them to be, AD, dodgy history, and so forth, with all things held constant, ceteris paribus, except LeBron James, meaning if LeBron James were prime-time LeBron James, would this team's results be different?
I believe so, because if you just look at LeBron's body language and just ability on the court, he's a little bit of a short of a step. LeBron tried. I was looking at some footage of him like in his early Cleveland days, and even when he played the second stint with Cleveland after he left Miami, and he was just a little bit quicker, a little more explosive. Now LeBron looks like he's kind of lumbering up the court, and when he gets into that triple threat position, whether when you're trying to figure out what move he's gonna do, it's almost predictable. Guys are just able to collapse in on the zone on him, and he's forcing and struggling to make shots at the rim. So I think a prime LeBron James would have been just a little bit quicker, a little bit more invincible. But I think we're starting to see a lot of that invincibility wear off. And he's settling for way too many jump shots and open threes. The last game quite a few air balls thrown up, about 2 or 3 that I noticed in the game. And, it's just taken away from the identity of LeBron, who is a guy who's a multi-threat player. And it seems like he's just settling for something that isn't him in terms of 3-point shooting. So I think if this continues this way and LeBron continues to play this way, I think that's why a lot of the GMs around the league are saying that he's no longer a dominant player, and they probably need to shift away from that mentality.
Yeah, that's what that question was intended to bring out, that analysis on that point. Well, despite yet another defeat for the Lakers, it was some off-the-court statements by King James prior to the Cavs defeat that have dominated the news headlines. When asked to comment on Kyrie Irving's suspension for a tweet about a documentary promoting anti-Semitism, LeBron said this, quote, "I believe what Kyrie did caused some harm to a lot of people. He has since apologized, but he caused some harm. It doesn't matter what color your skin is, how tall you are, what position you're in. If you're promoting or soliciting or saying harmful things to any community that harm people, then I don't respect it. I don't condone it." LeBron James said. All right, since Kyrie Irving's suspension, the Nets, though, have won back-to-back games, including a late rally against the Hornets on Saturday. Kevin Durant, who scored 27 in that game, says he's just happy to be focused on basketball.
For sure, but, a lot of guys been through different things in this league before, and a lot of guys been through some adversity in this league off the court, and having to lock back in and focus solely on the game. I think that we all get, a little bit of solace in doing that and just playing a game of basketball, being that camaraderie, that fellowship with your teammates. I think that was able to get us through. And there's going to be more peaks and valleys throughout the season, but this is probably going to be the toughest thing we deal with as a group. But to know that we can get through this and continue to stick together, I think that's important.
Alistair, I think the world of sport is at a crossroads now, exemplified by Kyrie's shenanigans. There was a time when they said that sports athletes, women and men, should stick to sports and let activists deal with activism. But we're being told that, you should exploit your big platform. You should use your platform of sport to do activism. And I think that Kyrie Irving is confused. I think he is forgetting the fact that firstly and foremostly, he is a basketballer. And if you list 10 things that he is, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. He is a basketballer and everything comes after. And I think that has gotten him into trouble. And the sportsmen who are doing too much of the other things are forgetting that they're there to perform. What say you about that?
Yeah, and I think that's what celebrity culture brings along in the US and anywhere in the world. I think a lot of people now with their social media platforms and all the platforms that they have that they created for themselves and everything, they feel like they need to have a voice and kind of put certain levels of influence and pressure on society for different things to hopefully gain some sort of influence in whatever they're trying to promote. And when guys do that, it's all well and fine when you see they're doing it in the right tone and they're not tone deaf about what they're doing. But it's really important for guys when they decide to speak out to be really knowledgeable about what they're saying, and so they avoid certain pitfalls and trip ups and slip ups from the tongue when they're being asked certain questions. What Kyrie has done, he's just shown that yes, we understand you're trying to be enlightened, you're doing a lot of reading, you try to make that very clear for the last 2-3 years, but it shows that, he's just not very knowledgeable on just PR and damage control, one thing, and the topics that he's talking about. Because you can't put out a tweet on the platform promoting a film, which he said he wasn't promoting, but you will. Once you put it on your platform, you are promoting it, and not kind of put any context to it. You will lead people to believe certain things about whatever it is that you post. And, that's caused just a major distraction. And I was listening to Kevin Durant's statement there about, it's just been, the toughest thing they've had to go through. But it kind of seems like from the 3-4 years that they've been with the Brooklyn Nets, every single year has been a tougher thing to go through with Kyrie being on the team. And it's tough. He's been suspended, which was the right thing to do. They say a minimum of 5 games. We'll see what happens. Something came out in the media that says today that the Nets have given him a list of things to do, maybe designed specifically because they know that he will not be able to complete them, which might lead to him being off the team. So you have to watch that a little closely. But, with him being off the team, the distraction is gone. And KD, like he said, is just getting back to playing. He's averaging 31.5 points a game. It's really, and they've kind of gotten into a little bit of a momentum. They're following KD's lead, and the team is doing all right. But Kyrie just needs to kind of just be careful with what he's saying, man. Choose your battles and choose what you're saying. And if you're going to get into those situations where you're going to talk about things that are difficult, just maybe stay away from that conversation, because you're right. Basketball is your thing. You're the expert at that. Stick to that.
Without Kyrie, will KD be able to sustain the team? Because in basketball, we love to talk about the big three and, the importance when it gets to the playoffs of having a backup. KD isn't the spring chicken that we know from before. So as much as we say, Kyrie needs to check himself, what about the Nets and their performance without Kyrie when KD needs him?
You know what I'll say to that, Mariah? I think, the team has actually been better without Kyrie Irving. And, he's averaging 27 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists this season. And, that's a lot of production that is being missed. But it allows certain players to step up. They brought in Royce O'Neal. Ben Simmons, yes, hasn't been very good. But, he still has a little bit of time to try to gain some sort of momentum. They have enough shooters on that team. And Kevin Durant is more than capable of leading a team. He's done it, with good players, better players, lesser players. When you see they played against Milwaukee a couple of post seasons ago, and they missed getting to the Eastern Conference Finals just because the length of his feet. It shows that he could carry a team. It's just he needs certain levels of help and all that. And yes, Kyrie will be good, but I've always kind of questioned Kyrie's impact on the court, especially in being a leader. When he was with the Cleveland Cavaliers, his first seasons, he didn't really take them anywhere. When he was with Boston, we saw what happened there. And when he's on the Nets, I think he kind of takes opportunities and confidence away from some of his teammates. So I actually think that they're better off without him, despite his production. But that's left to be seen. We'll see what happens. If he comes back, what he brings to the table. But I actually think the team is much better off without Kyrie Irving, and letting Kevin Durant be that undisputed leader and letting the team follow his lead.
Thank you very much for that, my friend. The time is up. We'll talk again very soon.
No problem, guys. See you later.
All right, the NBA continues later on your home of champions. Devin Booker and the Phoenix Suns go head-to-head with Joel Embiid and Philadelphia 76ers. That game being played in Philly, 8 p.m. Jamaica time, 9 p.m. outside. Suns 76ers, make it a date. SportsMax.
This segment was brought to you by Powerade. Pause for power with Powerade. Minute Maid. Real like you're at home. And Dasani. Connect mind and body.